Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I am working on making some mouse traps, bucket mouse traps that is, for underneath the cabin, in our shop area, and in our storage building. So first thing we're doing, we're getting some peanut butter because we're going to need that. We also need a couple of cans, so we got those. And yeah, let's go make some traps. So last year was the first year we made these traps, and I think overall I caught probably 25 mice from underneath the cabin and in our workshop between the two buildings. I was actually quite astonished by how many mice we caught, but then again, you know, the reality of living in the woods is there is a they're here. So typically here in Maine, what will happen is in the late summer, fall time, all of the mice that are out in the woods, they're going to start coming in and looking for a place to bed down for the winter. And then in the springtime, they will typically leave and head back out to the woods. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to capture them as they are coming in from the woods. We're going to set one bucket trap underneath the cabin, which was our most effective trap last year. We're also going to have one that's going to go into our storage building, and then one that will be in the workshop area. So in order to make these, it's really simple. All you need is a 5-gallon bucket, a metal coat hanger, a pop can, and some peanut butter. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, this bucket here is kind of beat up, but that's okay. I really only need the bottom 4 or 5 inches to hold water. We're going to drill a couple of holes on the side of the bucket, one here, one across from it, so that we can stick our rod through it. So I got 2 holes, one on each side. This just goes to show that the bucket, it'll work as long as it can hold a little bit of water. You'll see why at the end. All right, so those broken pieces out of there. The next step here is we're going to take this coat hanger and we're going to straighten it out. All right, so when I stick this through, I'm going to be bending one end, so I want to make sure that the coat hanger is longer than the width of the opening of the bucket. The next thing I want to do is take my can, and I've already got a hole on this side with the opening. Now I'm going to drill a hole in the back side, or the underneath side, just like so. All right, so next step is I'm going to take my coat hanger through the hole of my bucket. Here, I'm going to go through the hole on the can. And put it through the other side of the bucket. All right, so it basically look like this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold the metal hanger down so that the metal hanger, can't come out. And that is essentially your bucket trap. That's it. It's really as easy as that. All we're going to do now is just take some peanut butter. Doesn't have to be a lot. We put our peanut butter on our can. This is what's going to attract the mice, and then from here you can just put some water in the bottom, which is what we're going to do. In the winter time, what we'll do is we'll add a little bit of antifreeze to it, so that way the water doesn't freeze. All right, so now that we got this bucket trap ready, there's only one more thing we've got to do before we get it set up. So let's go over to the storage and I'll show you how to set it up. So I had to go grab a small piece of wood. This little 1x3 will work perfect because we need a ramp, something the mice can climb to get to our bucket trap. So the bucket I planned on using in here, when I came in here, it dropped and shattered. So I got a new bucket. I'm just gonna reset. There's the bucket. There's the hole right there. So I'm gonna reset this trap. All right, so now let me show you guys how this is gonna work. Okay, so basically we have peanut butter on the can. We're going to be taking this piece of wood right here, and we're going to be setting this up as a ramp. So the mice can climb up, pitter, 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 walk around here, they get on this rod, they go to get on the can, and the can spins on them. They end up in the bucket. So the whole trap is really that easy. I'm going to go ahead and get this set up, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so when the trap is set, it's basically going to have that piece of wood. It's kind of a ramp up to the trap. And then, yeah, there it is. So we'll come back and check this in a day or two. We'll see if we're getting anything. Ideally, I'd like to check them daily, because if there are mice and I want to get them out of there. We do try to put enough water in there so that they drown right away. And obviously we don't want the mice suffering. All right, well, I've got to go make a couple more. So we're gonna go do that and then get those set up. All right, so now that we've got these traps built, let's go get them set. So with this trap being our most successful trap, what I found is just by having it right here, it works great. So basically, now that it's in place, I'm just going to take our ramps, put our ramps just like so. And then we're going to go ahead and put our gate back up, and that's it. We'll come back in a few days, we'll check it, and hopefully we get some ice in there. It is very important to set these traps in a place where other animals aren't going to get to it. Primarily if you have cats or dogs and you let them out, if you get mice in there, and especially if you're going to use antifreeze in it, you don't want any, you don't want your pets getting to the mice, the dead ones, and getting sick. You also don't want your wildlife getting in there either and getting them. So like we have stoats. Even though we don't like stoats, I don't want them getting into the buckets and trying to eat a mouse that may have been killed with the antifreeze in it, because that's just a terrible thing to do. And so that's why we make it a point to inspect our buckets daily, especially during the winter time. It's just something that we have to do. But the unfortunate reality is, living in the woods, mice are a real big problem. I mean, real big problem. They get into your vehicles, they get into your house, your sheds, your outbuildings. I mean, they can wreak some terrible damage, not to mention the fact all of the the bacteria and diseases that come with them. So we do what we can to make sure that we eradicate them, or at least keep them at bay. And yeah. All right, well, now talking about stoats, we've got to make a couple of new traps. Okay, so now that we're done with our bucket traps for our mice, the next trap I want to build is a stoat trap. Now, these are fairly simple in design. As a matter of fact, I originally built stoat traps using shoe boxes, thanks to a friend of ours. I had done an earlier video, and I'll leave that link in the description below. Now, the reason that I'm changing from a shoe box to using wood is simply because the stoats would just destroy the shoe boxes. The weather would make them bad, and it just didn't work very well for us long term. So I'm hoping by doing it out of wood, it might be a long-term solution for us, but who knows? We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But in order to build this, basically all I need to do is just build a small box with a little hole in it. So let's do it. Okay, so now that the box is done, so basically our bait is just some peanut butter. So we're gonna put that towards the back of our trap. And then we're using a little foothold trap. It's a little Victron, I think, or a Victory, or a Victor. It's a Victor trap. A little thing like this. We've been pretty successful with this trap, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and get this set, and then we'll place it in the box. And I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so basically, we're going to take this, and this is going to go right into the box, just like so. Let me show you what it looks like. Hey, Whitco, you're looking pretty lazy. Eat the Sanka. You too. All right, so what it looks like is this, just the trap. We want to put the trap as close to the opening as possible. And the thought is that the stoat's going to come up, try to go in, hit the trigger the trap, and then we're good. We got him. So we'll go ahead and get this in its spot without triggering the trap. Now, for some reason, stoats love to come into our woodshed. And so we've been pretty successful with our trap located right there. So that's where it's gonna go. And then all we have to do is wait. Living off-grid means you have to be prepared for anything at any time. When Jen and I were in the city, if we had a rodent issue, we would call an exterminator. Now, we might set out a few traps, but you know, if it was bad, we'd call the exterminator. They'd come out and take care of it. But when you're living out here, you have to be prepared to take care of that stuff yourself, even if you have no experience doing it. Trapping problem rodents doesn't sound like a big deal, but you know, it can be, because if you've never done it before, like I hadn't, you know, it puts you in a tough spot where all you can do is really hope that all of the things that you've done are going to be successful. And not having any experience to fall back on, sometimes you just don't know. But like everything else, you get better with practice. And we've been trapping, you know, now for a little while. The bucket traps, I am absolutely sold on. There is nothing that anybody would ever be able to tell me that there's a better trap out there to collect a lot of mice in a short amount of time than those bucket traps. And as far as the stoat trap is concerned, it works. It works. It's as simple as a trap and some bait in a box. I mean, that's all it takes. And when you're out here, that's sometimes you gotta take extreme measures. Otherwise, the rodents are gonna take over, and it won't take long for them to destroy everything that you've put together and all the time and effort and energy you've put into your place. We don't want that here on Hanbleceya Ranch. So I'm going to do whatever I can to protect my homestead. All right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something. If you liked it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you folks on the next video.